What is your core character? For some of you, there's this commitment to self. Some of you are primal. You're just like, fuck yeah, I want to just see what raw primate energy is in my physiology. So this is a calling. This is not what you're already comfortable with. This is the who you're becoming. So some of you you're becoming, seen or refined. Like I used the word polished, which triggered a whole bunch of people yesterday. It's hilarious.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Inventor and author of Primal Habits, Uninflamed, Master of You, and Body Thrive, and soon to be released, The Witch's Cancer Journal.
A weaver of words and ancient worlds into the future.
Plumbing for depth in the playground of your continual reinvention.
A wisdom rich, a Guyana Yogini.
And now the moment we've been waiting for is here.
Ringleader of Club Thrive and Wellness Pro Academy.
A freedom warrior, earth mother, proud mama, devoted wife.
Not your grandmother's Ayurveda. Futurist. Biohacker. Guru and goofball.
Where truth and freedom prevail.
Evolving the ancient into the future.
Welcome to the Thrive with Cate Stillman podcast. Made for you by us.
And this is a little why I'm sort of like clubs or die. It's clubs or die for me, right? It's courses don't work. It's courses. How do we feel when we buy a course?
Yeah, you're gonna learn it.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn it. And then what happens?
You just ignore it and buy another course.
And then you buy another course, and how do you feel inside about the course you bought?
It tricked me. Buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse. Why? Because
I'm not doing it.
I'm not doing it, so did I get the promise? Didn't get the promise. Right, so this is why clubs work, because if you have a club that's based on habit, right, and it's based on core competencies of which habits are part of, you can ride the wave. What's the wave?
Ojas.
Yeah, the ojas of the what? You're riding the ojas of the what? Of the group, of the momentum, of the leader, of the structure. We've just used structures. The structures have bared a lot of the weight. Who feels like they really trust the people in this room? Like you could come to anyone in this room and be like, can we run a structure? I'm having a problem. Can we find a solution? And they'd say, sure. I've got 10 minutes. It only takes 10 minutes. Right? Like your breakthrough only takes us 10 minutes. I've got 10 minutes. What did you notice from coaching each other? Like, did anyone as a coach actually experience a lot of power and validation in that role?
Yeah.
Confidence building? So even in the coach role, you get something. So you don't even have to be the client to get something. Even the observer. Did anyone notice the power in the observer?
Yeah.
Wow, right? The hidden, quiet power of the observer. Yeah, Laura's like, yeah, I understand that one. Yeah, you're deep training in that. All right, so if you're looking to grow, you want to be with a culture. You want to be with a group who's ahead of you or behind you? Ahead of you. Does anyone know the concept of drafting in bike racing? Does anyone want to explain it?
You have to put forth less effort because you're being protected. Sort of like you're in this little fence, but being just behind the truck on the highway. The moment you go, it's like, whoa.
Wow, it's windy. I didn't know it was windy.
You're protected and you can draft and go at a faster speed or more consistent speed.
Race car drivers too.
Yeah, race car drivers.
You get directly behind and it sucks you forward.
And it sucks you forward.
And they're paid that way. But
now imagine you're trying to go it alone.
Yeah.
You're trying to go it alone. It's the opposite. You got the headwind coming. There's no group consciousness, there's no group culture, there's no group momentum. So it doesn't work. So this is what we find. You just have to find the people around you that already have the core competencies, and then you can draft. Right? Then you can draft. And then what happens is you draft long enough and you become a culture long enough. Does anyone know how birds fly in a flock? What happens to the ones in the back?
They get a ride.
They get a ride until when? Until they come up front.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's a constantly moving pattern. I was playing with the birds on the beach this morning. I was listening to some just like crazy movement mix. Like it was everything from like the Depeche Mode to Twisted Sister to, what is it, Florida? Florida, right? So, all sorts of stuff. And you're just like with the birds, and the birds, these little shorebirds, the ones that, you know, the paintings of the stickers of the sandpipers, right? And they move as a unit.
I took a video of them yesterday.
Yeah, and so what is there in a unit? What is there part of being right at the right part of the right hole?
Protection.
Yeah.
Going with the flow.
Going with the flow. When there's protection in your feeding, when there's protection in your nursing, right? Now there's nourishment, right? So it's huge. It's really, really big. And that's why I had to totally destroy and reinvent my company. Because we run a course model. And I'm committed to the evolutionary process. And clubs work better. So one of the things that we're finding in Wellness Pro Academy is that when people delay, they actually create their own more resistance. They're actually just trying to go it alone.
Jesus.
They're just trying to go it alone, right? I know, call out time. Trying to go it alone, and they're like, it's not working. It's really hard, right? So what happens is when you grow your club, even if the first 5 members are free, so then lesson, what is it now? 2.4, low-hanging fruit. First 5 members, which we are taking from Hermosies, right in there now. Right in there, first 5 members. Because once you build the momentum, this is the interesting thing. In your little flock, right? You're the leader, you're in front, but then what happens? You're in a flock.
You go to the back.
You go in the back. You go in the back, and from the back, what can you see?
The hole.
You can see the hole, and you can see the direction. So it doesn't matter if the first 5 members are this or that or the other, you just get it going, you just get it going. All right, and that's why we know over time, we have 12 years of experience with, well, it was yoga lifestyle coaching and then yoga health coaching and now Wellness Pro Academy and the clubs, as we know that starting sooner is way easier and way faster. And if you're delaying until this or that, it doesn't work. It doesn't work as well. All right, so this is Rise and Thrive. So I was meeting with some members in Club Hero and I wanted to make this is a new tip sheet that is gonna be driven by both advertising and social into Club Thrive. So this is part of one simple funnel for Club Hero. It's one of the newest, the giveaways in the campaign. You guys all have this in either Jersey or I texted you, and you can share it with Ivan. So this is infuse your career with a before work routine that brings results. So even if your career is you right now, great. You got this. All this is like baseline list of start the day right? 8 an earlier, later dinner, lights out by 10. Sounds like body fat, doesn't it? Out of bed by 5:30 a.m. Hydrate with hot lemon water. Have a dynamic. 10 salutations, 10 burpees, 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, 10 jumping jacks. Breathe in nose, out through mouth. That takes a couple minutes. 4 minutes of sitting in silence. Fast until 10 or 11 a.m. Caffeine okay. Find one new thing you're grateful for today. Read your My Next Reality to bring your personal protocols, character, and goals into today's view. Visualize your day ahead, mentally rehearse your choices. Infuse how you want to feel during each activity. Have a blast. You're a queen, a beacon of light, a leader. Own it, sister. So this is written particularly for women. We'll make the masculine version. All right, so My Next Reality is what we need to work on. If you don't do a number of those things, you've just taken the wind out of yourself for this next 24 hours. If other people rely on you for anything, you've just diminished their potentiality. That's on you. And if you simply do the things, then you get to ride the wave. Now the wind's at your back. As John Douillard talks about, now you're paddling downstream instead of fighting upstream. Fighting upstream, which is completely depleting. That's all based on circadian rhythm. There is a metric butt ton of science. It's in Unflamed. There's a gazillion citations for all of that. So if you need those citations to understand the science, that's where you can find it. What we're going to work on is My Next Reality, because I want you all to leave with this. And I didn't print this out, but you have the copy so you can print it out at home. My core, and we're just going to go through this, and you're just going to write them down as I speak them out. So my core, character, and principles. So what this is what are the qualities? Like, well, I know you guys may have heard in our little, we were saying orgasmic a lot. That's a core character trait. You can simply choose to show up as orgasmic. Mama Gina's built a multi-gazillion-dollar business on it, right? So has what's Fletcher? What's her name? Emily Fletcher, right? And there's a number of others. Layla, what's Layla's last name? There's another one. There's a lot of this is being taught a lot. Data, another one. Like just being completely connected through sexual energy. What is your core character? For some of you, there's this commitment to self, which is svadhyaya. That can be a character trait. You're just committed. Some of you are primal. You're just like, fuck yeah, I want to just see what raw primate energy is in my physiology. So a core character trait can be primal. So this is a calling. This is not what you're already comfortable with. This is the who you're becoming. So some of you you're becoming, seen or refined. Like I used the word polished, which triggered a whole bunch of people yesterday. It's hilarious. Right. It's like some of you are becoming just luscious and gorgeous and beautiful. Some of you are becoming actually
Raw.
motivated. Right? Like really deeply motivated to act, to do, to show up, and to see who the fuck you could really be in this lifetime. Like not just checked out, but like checked in. So whatever words are resonating, whatever words are coming up, and you're just going for the first round. I'm a huge, huge fan of editing. Right? And when I write, I just get it down first. So you're just getting down the gist. Later you can consult a thesaurus and really chisel it away until you're like, those are my words. Because with my next reality, this is what you're going to read every day. You're going to read this every day. I just want to make sure it's the phone. Does it catch me here? Yeah, we're good.
It's recording.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just feel like I'm out of the thing. Thank you so much. We're doing this so that I don't have to do this again. I love to do things once. That's why I write books. I'm like, it's not going to change. The primal habit. All right, except for mine. Okay, my personal protocols. This is where it's crystal clear what works for you, and it's crystal clear how you, as my mother would say, shoot yourself in your own foot. And we want to avoid shooting ourselves in the foot. So we already know, we've already had enough days to know what really works for us and what really doesn't, especially on the bigger game level. Like if you were going to really show up, no longer complaining, no longer in the skeptic, no longer waiting for the day when you have the time, because that day will never come, right? So we're not doing that. We're like, okay, it's game day. It's game day, right? How do I need to show up? Those are the personal protocols. So for some of you, that's a fasting time. For some of you, that's a bedtime. For some of you, that's gratitude practice, sitting in silence. For some of you, that's exercise, where you have more hard workouts. For some of you, like me, it's where you have more softening workouts, right? Where you're actually like opening it all back up again and relaxing, your legs up the wall and restorative. For some of you, it's sex, right? It's like making time to self-pleasure or to be with another, where it's like actually part of the personal protocol because you're wanting to be more connected and more juicy and more attractive.
Are these aspirational or things we are?
No, these are aspirational. These are like the next level. So for you to step into the next level of Dharma, what's the rule book that actually guarantees the reality? That's why it's my next reality. So we want the rule book that guarantees, like you can't fucking miss the target. So in gymnastics, my daughter was a gymnast for the last gazillion years. She just retired, as they call it, at 15 and a half. Gymnasts practice year round, right? They practice year round. Gymnasts take a break. It's really hard because they do shit on the balance beam and that like they literally can crack their skull open. It's happened a lot. They can break their necks and whatnot. So they practice continually. right? So it's less scary. So there are certain things they do every single day. A gymnast will do literally every single day. And I know you guys, it's like, you know exactly what it is with tap and all that, right? Like there's things that you do every day. Even if part of that is a rest routine, a rest protocol, right? For the gymnast, there's a lot of stretch, there's a lot of foam rolling, there's a lot of openness. And then there's some really hard shit, right? That they're doing again and again and again and again and again. Because if they can do it every day, and now it's time, now it's game day, competition day, more likely or less likely? Much more likely, right? It's so in pattern. It's like showtime, right? You have enough rehearsals, it kind of blends the rehearsal into the performance, except there's even more excitement and more energy and more attention and more focus. So that's all part of my personal protocols. How do you guarantee that you hit the target, your next reality? So just fill whatever those in. All right, the next two sections are my 5-year goals and my short-term goals. So the short-term goals have to point to the 5-year goals. So the 5-year, and I don't care if it's 3-year, 5-year, 10-year, to me that's less important. 3 to 5 is good enough because you're like, okay, for me it's like I'm 55, right? Like for you, just add 5, like what is that? So if I'm 50 now, then that's me 55. What do I want to do? Maybe I want to be able to do 10 pull-ups instead of 4 or 5. Right? Maybe I want to also be able to do like a much deeper back bend, so my back body and front body are open. Maybe I want to have ecstatic sex with my husband. Maybe I want to have acquired even more wealth together than we've already acquired, right? Maybe I want all of our properties to now be Club Thrive properties, Club Thrive rentals, and I want that generating at least $100,000 a year as a side business. Maybe I want my daughter in 5 years to have spent some time in Asia, spent some time in Africa, spent some time, like gone to some places that she hasn't been. And maybe I want to have had a reflective experience of that where we just have the best memories of the deepest adventures and connections and intimacy and skill growing together, both as life learners. Maybe I want, right? What are your 5-year goals? Maybe I want sold out clubs every year, 300 new members in Club Thrive, 100 people with cancer, 100 people with autoimmune disease, 50 biohackers, and 50 just regular people that want to break through, right? Maybe you want 300 people in Wellness Pro Academy, 60 functional medicine doctors, 60 physical therapists, 60 yoga studio owners, 40 boutique gym owners, 40 psychedelic doctors, right? And 60 of solopreneurs, mental health, energy health. What are the 5-year goals? Now, the short-term goals is now you back all that up and say, okay, between now and the end of the year, right? Just because that's our next quarter. You just say now to the next quarter, now to the next chunk of time. 90 days, 12-week year, seasons, 4 seasons a year. It's a good methodology. So in the next season of my life. So I have a short-term horizon right now. What do I want my next reality to be by the end of the short-term horizon? That's the short-term goals. I would say that this season goals. Now, if you're general, you won't hit them. You will know if you hit them. If you're specific, then you can break that down and have that go back to my personal up here protocols and my core character traits. Because if I'm remarkably undisciplined, am I going to hit my short-term goals? Probably not. So then you know, if I'm not going to hit that goal, I better have a core character trait of somebody that can hit that goal. Mm-hmm. So if I'm undisciplined and I'm complaining and hoping the world will change instead of me changing, is that on me or is that on the universe? That's on me. All right, so then you draw your next identity in the box. And so this is like the deity with the different tools. And I would even say your next identity is part, if you're in a club with us, your next identity is a member in the club. And as a member, we also expect you to lead. We also expect you to fly to the front of the flock and push us forward in the way that your unique self can. We want your full contribution. So who in your next identity, like who's in the box and who's in it with you? And you did that yesterday in the people set. right? Like who's in the box with you? Who guarantees your success? Who drafts you forward? Trust your intuition. So little symbols come into your mind, and there's maybe a torch, or there's a sword, or there's a pocket knife, or there's a razor blade, or there's trust, or there's a timer, or there's a calendar, or there's an app, there's a project management tool, there's an assistant. Who's in the box? What's in the box? Some of you rat pumping in the box and gyrations and all sorts of things that are just your turn on in the box. And lastly, what's the mantra? What's the mantra of this next 4 seasons for you? What's the mantra? So a mantra can be a Mahavakya. Maha means great, the greatest. It's kind of like goat. That's Maha. Vak is the goddess of speech. Ivan and I were joking around last night about small mouth noises. Right? So in the religions, there is an understanding of what moves the unmanifest into the manifest. First there was the word, and the word was God. God is the unmanifest. The word moves the power of the infinite, of source, into directionality, into reality. That's the power of Mahavakya. That's the power of speech. That's the power of words. You select your words wisely in your mantra, because when you do, that you just can cycle. You just cycle it through. It's a vibration. Speech is vibrational. The words have meaning. Some of you need to borrow words from other languages. Some of you, it's even sounds like is what?
Yum.
Yum. Hum. Yum. Right? It gets the vibe going. Some of you need kali, cutting. Right? You need to get serious. You need to cut the bullshit. Cut through the noise. Cut through the distraction. Cut off the nonsense, children. Krishna, Kali, ka. Some of you need ja. Jesus, Jehovah. John. Maybe some other ja. Jaya. Ja. What does ja do? Just feel in your body. See if you can plug into where your sound comes from. Ja. What happens in your mouth? Ja. Does it go up or down? Ja. Goes down through what chakra? Ja. How low does it go? Heart. Ja. Keep going. Ja. You're in the ribs. Ja. The Father becomes the Son. Jesus. The infinite becomes the mortal. Jehovah. Goes straight through the root chakra. Ja. Feel it, the jaw. It's a jaw dropper. Ja is the jaw dropper. So with your mantra, you can choose sound. And this is what Sanskrit's based on. That's why it's so hard to translate the words, because you're like, oh, they kind of missed the whole energetic frequency vibration part. And now we have a mental concept. All right. If that's too much, if getting the sound vibration isn't in there for you, it's okay. Just use the words that really work. What is the mantra? Like for some of you, it's just rise and thrive. Like here, I made it easy. Borrow that. Ra. Get the energy. What's ra? Sun. Ram, right? The energy of the sun. Sita Ram, right? So it's the divine and it's shining, prakasha, right? There's this ra. Can you feel the expansion in ra? The ah goes out. So rise, right? There's this lifting up, thrive, right? There's this stepping into your thrive, your potential. All right, does everyone have their one pager then for my next reality? Kind of, good rough, good, you can edit it, good rough start.
The first one, my core character.
Yeah. Principle.
Principles, can you just elaborate on
Who do you need to become? So your goal, like who you are is not your goal next. So for me, I've been quite, as I always am, transparent. So my next, that what's happening right now in me is it's like I feel the Shakti like pulling me into much more exposure. Right, where I've been just like kind of in the closet the last 2 years, reading the papers, writing the books, doing the things, pivoting the company, building the team. I've been kind of hanging out in my little universe, and now it's like the stage and the cameras, lights, action, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for that, it's like, what is my core character as that person? So it's like, I'm not that yet. But if I choose these core character traits that really call me into that, then if I commit to showing up every day as that, because if we go back here, remember, there's this, read your my next reality, to bring your personal protocols, character, and goals into today's view. This is huge, right? So it's like, this is every day you're reading this every single day. So you can always edit it. If something's not working, just edit it immediately. You want this to be your 100% integrity vibrational page. Like this is what you know will work. This is your best strategy in one page, right? So then after you read it every single morning, this is all like it's a 20-minute routine, rise and drive. Then you visualize your day ahead. So now you're with your short-term goals and your personality traits and your personal protocols, right? Like you're a bit weaponized, like the deities. I was just getting this hit of like the conch shell and the root and the spinning disc. Who am I describing?
No.
Ayurveda. Who am I describing? Don Bantry. Okay. Right. So it's like we have this thing. So what's the conch shell? It's like the vulva. We described that. It's got the sound of what? Which makes you do what? Is the energy coming in or going out when you hear? It's expanding. Yeah. So you're weaponized for the day, like you've chosen. And those weapons, like they're showing up in here. And you could say weapons, you could say superpowers. Same thing. My weapon today, I'm using, if we go back to the art one, how would you describe my energy today? Or my weapons today? Mellow?
Yeah.
I'm mellow today? Anyone not getting mellow? What's the opposite of mellow? Intense? Grounded? Am I feisty today?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty feisty, right?
Fiery.
Pretty fiery. Yeah, but I've turned it down the last 2 days, and today I really turned it up, didn't I? I'm looking for keynote. Okay, it's gonna take too long to find it. I'll pull it up in a minute. Sledgehammer. Does anyone remember yesterday the sledgehammer down in the pictures of the tools? Does anyone feel like I came in today and I was like, all right, sledgehammer. What does a sledgehammer break up? What do they use the sledgehammer for to break up? Rock. Concrete. Yeah. Pulverizes the hardest of substances. That's the use of the sledgehammer. So we get to choose our tools, right? You get to choose the tool for what's needed for the transformation that you're being called to step into. Lots of weapons out there. This morning I chose the sledgehammer. Or the divine chose me to use the sledgehammer and I responded with an, okay, let's do it. Okay, so then you visualize the day ahead. You mentally rehearse your choices. You infuse how you want to feel during each activity. So let's do this for tomorrow. So whatever you've got going on tomorrow, you've just written out my next reality. You know your personal protocols, your core character, your short-term goals, your long-term goals. You have your mantra, at least in its nascent state. And now you see yourself. I love how Lex Fridman described it. You see yourself going through the motions as if in a video game. Like the little guy running around doing this and doing that, and you infuse that with your core character traits. So you infuse that with the word is bhavana. It's very expansive, this bhavana. You get to, ba has a lot of power. So it's power. But ba, Bhairavi, right? Ba has some power where you get to wake up all at once. How do you infuse the bhavana, like the feeling experience that you're going through? Maybe it's joy. Maybe it's orgasmic. Maybe it's focused. Maybe it's motivated, disciplined, inspirational. See yourself doing the things. Maybe it's open. Maybe it's receptive. Maybe it's receiving. Maybe it's heartfelt. Maybe it's available, compassionate. These are your core character traits. Maybe it's dynamic. Maybe it's even aggressive or subtle. And rehearse your choices. See yourself. You're making choices. Someone's like, do you want to do this? And you go back to your personal protocols and you're like, oh yes, thank you. I'm going to do this. I need to do this for me. I need to do this. No explanation of why. This is what I'm choosing. I'm choosing my next reality. Do you want to play? So infuse how you want to feel in each activity. Now see 90 days ahead of today. See 90 days ahead, and you've done your dharma day after day after day. Open. You've rise and thrived every day. You've read your core competencies, your core character traits. You've read your personal protocols, your 5-year goals, your short-term goals, your mantra of the year. You've looked at your picture of your next identity every single day, day after day after day. You've risen to the occasion. You've mentally rehearsed your choices. You've made choices align to your strategy. It's 90 days later. What has changed? What are your next opportunities? What are your reflections? How have your relationships, your growth relationships strengthened? If you're in the club with us, like how have your bonds deepened? Your partnerships grown? And how is that moving through you to the people in your life, the people who depend on you? And see it with Cate, see it with your inner light, your vision. Notice how it makes you feel inside and just breathe that in so that you expand, that you are actually changing physically, that your identity on the inside, we call this recalibration, so you energetically calibrate to the person you are in 3 months. And if you want, you can bow to the process of becoming and lean back into the ground of being. Always blissful, always content, always full, always perfect. All right, so that is Rise and Thrive and my next reality. So back to Jackie's question around my core character and principles, it's got to be the person who's already done that, the 90-day out person. Or even for some of you, that's the same as the 5-year person, because they've already done that. They've been there, done that. And then the character traits that person has that you don't yet have in your smaller, contracted, individual self. Whoever walked in here on Tuesday, 48 hours ago, whoever walked in here, it's not that person. For any of us, don't take it personally. It's just how evolution works. Don't personalize it. We're all in it together. So the habits, the practices, the rise and thrive, there's an ego dissolution. The primal habits are ego dissolving. All of them are ego dissolving, so that you can catch the wave of the universal. So you can have all the energy and all the bliss that you could ever possibly desire every single day, all at once. Right? It's all what the habits do. That's what circadian rhythm does. So when we simply just choose to ride the wave and align, we're so much more powerful. And we stop limiting ourselves mentally. We stop, like, remember, out of the starting block, we stop just like falling on our nose before 8 a.m. Right? So the stakes are high. All right, any questions, comments? My next reality, Rise and Thrive.
I like this.
Yeah, the one pager or like the like the checklist and the.
Yeah.
Good. So often a question comes up. This is taking it from the yoga ashram and Alex Hormozi. Interestingly, I know it's new. You look on the Rise and Thrive, you'll see how many days a week. 7. Why? Why does Alex Hormozi and Layla Hormozi, why do they stick to their same schedule? They're both in bed around like 8:30. Like 9 is like, woo-wee, right? Which has really changed how their friends connect with them. They're such dynamic people. Everyone wants to be friends with them, including all their old friends, right? So that's a protocol, yeah? It's a protocol. Why? I mean, they're why. Consistency. What's the power of consistency?
It drives routine and success.
It drives routine and success. It makes everything easier. What happens to decision fatigue with consistency?
Procrastination, delay, beginner's anxiety.
Right. Out of the starting box, fall on your face. Because then every day starts to be the exception to the rule, right? Like the ego. Oh, yeah, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, how did I get back here again? I was up there. And then you're like, oh, every day was a good day.
How do you allow for some spontaneity?
Yeah, so this is the spanda. So when the container is tight, like those of you who stuck to the structures and stuck to the timers, what happened within the container? Stronger. Principle of muscle energy and Anusara yoga, right? It's like, first you open, then you build a container. Now the pulsation expands into the container. That's how Ojas grows. So the beyond your wildest dreams is only possible within the strength of the container. Has anyone heard the teaching of like 100% is easier than 98%? Has anyone ever heard this teaching, whether it's with anything that you're really trying to get good at? Like say you're trying to get leads, right? So if you follow Hormozi's like 100 actions a day, right? Instead of like, oh, some days I feel like it, some days I don't, right? Imagine you just did it 100 actions a day every day from now until like Saturdays, Sundays, like 100 of these a day. You just did it. In 90 days, would you have the skill? You'd have the skill, right? What if you're like, I don't feel like it today? Who's in charge of the I don't feel like it today? Yeah, what part of the self? Ego, the outdated self, past self, limited self, the depressed self, like that. So within the container, so much more is possible. So then what becomes spontaneous is so much more exciting. Right? So for like the Hormozis, like they found whatever, making their first 10 million was challenging. Their next 100 million was challenging. Their next 100 million, easy. Really easy. Right? And this is balls to the walls. Like this is like the power couple. This is our Hollywood. This is our royal palace or royalty of entrepreneurship is the Hormozis right now. That's what's showing up right now, and this is what they're teaching. Yoga teaches the same thing. They're not like, oh, on the weekends don't meditate, right? Like if they're eating a sattvic diet, they're like, don't worry, on the weekends go rajasic. That's not their teaching. It's that like within the choices that you've made, build strong enough containers so that the consistency can grow, the character traits can become embodied and permanent, and then some things that'll happen are way beyond your wildest dream. I never guessed that growing a lifestyle business would grow our personal wealth to $10 million before we were 50. I never would have guessed that. You know, the discipline of the structures and mastery of you. I mean, we're skiers, surfers. I'm a yoga teacher, Ayurvedic practitioner. We live in very remote places that have now since become popularized, right? But it's like that discipline into the becoming will go way beyond your wildest dreams. You're not even going to pick up yet. And then people thank you for showing up, just for being you, just for doing the thing that the divine calling that you're serving. And if divine doesn't work, source or whatever connection to intuition, whatever words are accessible. Okay, so I would like to do the quick appreciative interviews as the person, and it's you in the next season. So we're gonna go to the end of the next season, which for us right now is the end of the year. So imagine it is New Year's Eve. And with your troika, you're hanging out, it's New Year's Eve. And you're looking back at this critical moment, you're looking back at my next reality. And you're doing that appreciative interview, which the appreciative interview is a very simple structure. There is a interviewer and there's an interviewee. And I believe in the one we have, it says 3 people, right? And then there's the audience. Who doesn't like an audience? Some of you don't, but rise to the occasion. You're on stage, you're having an interview, you're being interviewed. You are yourself 3 months from now. You're looking back. You're looking back on what happened, what you manifested, what you made change, what came into reality. Your interviewer's like, how did you do it? And what almost stopped you? And what held you back? And how has this changed your reality? And what now is possible going into the next phase, the next year, the next season? So that's what the interview is. And as you're doing it, as you are being interviewed, you want to drop deep, deep, deep down into this future reality and keep looking at your picture. Because you are that. You're speaking as that. All right? So you're going to find new people. It's getting more and more challenging. Find people you connected with the leads. Right. And then find your little spot, use your timers. Is everyone okay if we go over a little bit, if we need to go over a little bit? Yeah? Okay. I just want to make sure. Keep your timers as tight as possible, though.